superb learning experiences, where we talk about how you can leverage your expertise through digital learning programs so that you can scale up, create more impact, and live the lifestyle you desire. And in this week's Tuesday Talk, I want to talk about something that often is missed, and a lot of marketers and course creators fail to really understand or fail to really work on. And that is numbers. And really needing to understand the numbers that we need to run a business or to make the business profitable. And thinking about what are those numbers. And so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about our success formula. That success formula that is the key thing to basically, unlocking those magic numbers to grow your business, or at a minimum to just run your business. Because if we look at that, when we look at, the keys to success, there's basically, when we're running a program, whether it's just running people to a mini course or a self-paced online course, or maybe it's our high-ticket coaching program that we're running for quite a period of time, we're going to run them through some sort of funnel. We're going to take them through a process. And that process at the top end of that funnel is basically where we're going to be acquiring leads and obviously turning them into customers. And then the back end is then where we're obviously wanting to serve our customers and give them the outcomes that they desire. But we also need to generate profit. To be an ongoing business, to continue to be a successful business, we need to be able to generate profit. And so that's the two things that we need to look at. And to do that, we need to be able to understand the numbers that are required as part of that acquisition and profiting. And understand, well, how can we actually improve those numbers as well to get better results? So today, I want to take you through what we call our success formula. And in our success formula, we're going to go through a few different things. We're going to talk about sales conversions. We're going to talk about understanding customer acquisition and transaction value. Looking at course completion rates, customer lifetime value, how we can enhance revenues per user, sales funnel optimization, and sustaining growth through retention. So let's jump in and have a look at each of these. So the first one is when we look at sales conversion. One of those metrics that we really need to understand is our reach to leads conversion ratio. And understanding that how many people are we reaching, and of that people, how many that number that we're reaching, how many are actually becoming leads. And that formula for that, as you can see, is number of leads divided by the total reach. You can times that by 100 to get a percentage. So for example, if we were working through and we're reaching 10,000 people and we got 200 leads, then our reach to leads would be 2%. The next formula then we can work on is then our leads to sales conversion ratio. And then this is looking at the number of sales divided by the number of leads. And again, as an example, if we say, okay, that we're generating leads of 200 people, and that should actually say sales. If we're getting sales of 20 people, then our leads to sales would be 10%. So just some figures there. Now, if you watch one of our previous videos where I talk about the profit model and talking about how we actually can work out the price of our course, that's where we actually use this reach to leads and leads to sales ratios as one of the tools to work out how successful we're going to be in actually hitting our profit target that we want for our online course. Some other sales conversion metrics that we need to consider as well to really make sure that we're achieving good targets and stuff are things like page conversions. If we've got people landing on sales pages, then what does that look like? How many people are converting from pages? Email opens and click-through rates. If we're using upsells or cross-sells or order bumps, what does that look like? If we've got people coming into a mini course, but then we're giving them an upsell as part of that process. What are all those conversion metrics? And obviously advertising campaign. And looking at all these metrics and going, okay, how can we actually improve these and how can we make them better? and get a better result as part of that process. The next step in our success formula is really about understanding the customer acquisition and transaction values. So the first one is what we call our CAC, the customer acquisition cost, which is our total cost of sales and marketing divided by the number of sales. So for example, you can see here, if our total cost of sales and marketing is $10,000 and we're getting sales of 50, then our CAC is going to be at $200. So the cost of acquiring customer is $200. Now, if we then go and have a look at the other key value, and that's our average transaction value. And that's where we're looking at the total revenue divided by the number of sales. So if our total revenue is $5,000 and we've got 10 sales, then our average transaction, our ATV, is at $500. So we've got a CAC of $200 and ATV of $500. Okay, great, that is good. Because one of the things that, and when we're looking at that, is that if the ATV is greater than our CAC, if our average transaction value is greater than the cost to acquire the client, then profit and scalability are guaranteed. If it costs you less to acquire a customer, then you're going to be profitable. And it gives you a foundation for that sustainable growth. If your cost to acquire a customer is going to be higher than what the average transaction value is, then we're in problem. We've got some problems. And we need to look at how we can improve that as part of that process. And this is certainly where you might be advertising a mini course or getting people into some sort of lead magnet, and there's a very low cost to entry, in which case then that CAC through your sales and marketing costs might actually be higher than what people are paying to purchase your low ticket offer, your low cost lead magnet. That's where then you can look at upsells and other offers to try and increase that average transaction value. Some other ones we want to look at, certainly from a course completion piece, is that how many people are actually completing. If we're creating a program, a course, a short course, an online course, whatever the program is, we want completion numbers. We want to have a high completion rate. So it's a very simple formula. Number of people completed divided by the number of enrollments. And again, times by 100 to get a percentage. The other one is then we can start looking at, okay, how can we actually enhance revenue streams? And one of those figures that we can look at is what we call the ARPU, the average revenue per user. So what does this look like over a period of time? What does that look like in terms of the revenue for that user is, over the value of the lifetime of that customer. So we need to look at what is the total revenue divided by the number of clients or users that we've got there. And that will give us that average revenue per user. And this certainly factors in when we're actually starting to look at memberships. If we actually have an online course or we create a number of courses, then we can actually start looking at promoting memberships. And that actually is a good way to actually look at enhancing that revenue stream. And then our average revenue per user can come in here. Now, that's not all, the ARPU is not always going to apply, but certainly you can look at that. So if I go, okay, total revenue is 500,000, total number of clients is 100, then I can go, okay, my ARPU is $1,000, my average revenue per user. So this is assuming that people might be buying multiple programs, might be buying multiple products. Maybe they're paying through your membership site. The other one that we can look at with enhancing revenue streams is looking at, and again, coming back to this idea of membership sites, is this or a coaching program that's got a monthly recurring revenue. And we can look at that monthly recurring revenue and seeing what that is. So the formula for this one is the number of members times by the membership fee. So again, if we look at an example, we can see the total number of members is 200, membership fee is $20, then our monthly recurring revenue is going to be $4,000. And obviously if we go, okay, well, how do we increase this? Well, there's two things. We want to increase the number of members or increase the membership fee. Going to increase the membership fee, then obviously we need to increase the value that they're getting as part of that process. Another piece in our success formula is then looking at this sales funnel optimization and looking at and using the LAPS framework, looking at the leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. So this is really critical if you're running a high ticket program, and as part of your sales process, you actually need to have a conversation with people. Certainly, if you're selling people into a low ticket offer and you don't need to have that sales conversation, if you don't need to talk to them, make sure they're right fit for the program, then you probably wouldn't be tracking your laps. You might just go leads into sales. But certainly you're going, okay, well, how are we going here? How many leads are we getting? How many of those leads are we then converting into appointments? How many of those appointments are actually turning out to be presentations? Is there a high drop off? Are we having a high no-show rate between the number of people who are making appointments and how many are actually turning up for the presentations or the sales conversations or whatever you want to call them? And then how many of those are turning into sales? So again, some metrics to look at and go, okay, well, cool. We've got a high volume of leads, we've got a high volume of appointments, but then we've actually got a really low number of presentations. And we've got an issue here. There's a big drop off between people making the appointment and actually turning up. What can you do to enhance that? Maybe they turn up, but then they don't necessarily go on to become a customer. Again, maybe there's a drop off there. What's the problem? So looking at that whole sales funnel. So looking at those numbers around that process. And then the other one then is looking at the last piece is really looking at sustaining growth through retention. And so here we want to look at our churn rate. So again, with courses, how many people, and if we've got memberships, how many people are we losing in a month? How many customers did we start with? So the formula is the number of customers that we've lost divided by the number of customers at the start. And then you can times that by 100 to get your percentage. So for example, if we started off with 50 customers and we've lost 1,000, we started off with 1,000 customers and we've lost 50, then we've got a churn rate of 5%. And obviously we want the lower the churn rate, the better it is. And again, you can play with some of these numbers and go, okay, I've got a high churn rate. Then I've got a problem. I need to look at how I can enhance the user experience. I can enhance the experience they're having, enhance the value they're getting to try and get more people to stay in our programs, in our membership sites, in whatever it is that we're doing. Okay. Churn rate is also going to have an impact if you go and have a look at your monthly recurring revenue. You go, okay, I've got a monthly recurring revenue of $5,000. But then if you've got a churn rate of 5%, well, that's actually going to have an impact. Or you've got a churn rate of 10%, well, that's going to have an impact because it's going to drop your monthly recurring revenue. So some of these figures you can actually play with together and bring them all together. So they're the key figures that we've got as part of our success formula. Looking at those key figures, looking at what is that from a sales conversion point of view? What are those metrics we've got there? Understanding the customer acquisition and transaction value. And as I said, if your ATV is greater than your CAC, if the average transaction value is greater than the cost to acquire customers, then you're guaranteed profit and scalability. Looking at course completion rates, looking at the customer lifetime value, looking at the revenue that we can enhance per user, looking at how you can optimize the sales funnel, and looking at how we can sustain growth through retention. So that's just some of the key numbers that we want to talk through and we want to look at and that we've built into our success formula. Now, I've gone through this pretty quickly. If you want to know more, you want to really dive into these numbers a lot more and go through this in a lot more detail, we've got a program we're going to be launching very, very shortly, our Success Formula mini course. You can jump onto that, mavenzeal.academy/course/the-success-formula. And if you're interested, jump in when it launches, use the coupon code MAVEN50 and you'll get a 50% discount on this course. We're already offering it at a relatively low rate, but we're going to give it to people who are interested, mavens that are interested and following us and watching our videos, then you get an even bigger discount there. So that's it. That's this week's Tuesday Talk, looking at the success formula and understanding those magic numbers to really grow your business. As per usual, any questions, comments, drop them in the chat below, whether you're watching this on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever it might be. Please, any questions, comments. And if you've got any thoughts around some other topics to do with leveraging expertise to creating digital learning programs, please drop them in the chat, and we'd be happy to look at how we can address those in an upcoming Tuesday Talk. That's it. That's this week's Tuesday Talk from me. Thank you, and look forward to next week's Tuesday Talk. Bye.